I never thought I'd have to explain to another adult why they couldn't just move into my house, but that's exactly what happened with the HOA Karen who lived 3 streets over from me. It started on a Friday afternoon when I came home from work and noticed a strange SUV parked in my driveway. At first, I assumed a contractor or delivery driver had accidentally stopped at the wrong address, but as I got closer, I saw several suitcases sitting on my front porch. My confusion quickly turned into concern. I walked up to the door, unlocked it, and immediately heard movement inside my house. My heart dropped. I stepped into the living room and found Karen standing there with a cup of coffee she had apparently made using my coffee machine. She smiled like nothing was wrong and said, "Oh good, you're home. I was wondering when you'd get back." I stared at her for a few seconds, trying to process what I was seeing. Then I asked the obvious question, "Why are you in my house?" Karen rolled her eyes as if I was the one being unreasonable and explained that renovations on her home were taking longer than expected, so she needed somewhere to stay for a few weeks. I waited for the punchline because surely this had to be a joke, but she was completely serious. She pointed toward the suitcases and said she had already started unpacking in the guest room. I reminded her that she had never asked for permission and that this was my private property. Karen shrugged and said, "Well, your guest room was empty anyway, and neighbors are supposed to help each other." The audacity was unbelievable. I told her she needed to gather her belongings and leave immediately. Instead of apologizing, she crossed her arms and informed me that I was being selfish. According to her, the HOA community was like a family, and families supported each other during difficult times. I explained that being neighbors did not give her the right to enter my home without permission. Karen insisted that she had a spare key because the previous HOA board president had once held emergency copies for several houses years ago. Somehow she had gotten access to an old key and decided that meant she could simply move in. I told her that was not how property rights worked. Rather than leaving, she started listing all the reasons she deserved to stay. She claimed her kitchen renovation had been delayed, her guest bedroom was full of construction materials, and a hotel was too expensive. Every excuse was followed by the same conclusion: she would stay in my house until her own was ready. I was amazed by her confidence. Most people would be embarrassed after being caught trespassing, but Karen acted as though she had signed a lease. When I refused again, she began criticizing my character, saying that everyone in the neighborhood would hear how I abandoned a fellow resident in need. I told her she was free to tell anyone she wanted because the facts were simple. She entered my home without permission and expected free housing. Karen responded by carrying another suitcase into the guest room as if the conversation was over. At that point, I called the local police non-emergency line. While waiting for officers to arrive, Karen decided she would make herself comfortable. She sat on my couch, turned on my television, and even asked what time I usually cooked dinner. The entire situation felt like some bizarre reality show. When the officers arrived, they listened to both sides of the story. Karen confidently explained that she was temporarily staying with a neighbor because her house wasn't ready yet. The officers asked whether I had invited her. I said absolutely not. Karen then attempted to argue that HOA residents shared responsibilities and resources. One officer looked completely confused and asked if she had any document, agreement, or permission showing she could stay there. Of course she had nothing. The officers informed her that she needed to leave immediately. Instead of cooperating, Karen argued for nearly 20 minutes, insisting that the situation was unfair. She kept repeating that her house was not ready yet as if that somehow changed everything. Eventually, reality caught up with her. The officers made it clear that if she refused to leave,